Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about the Twilight Zone Season 1, Episode 2. It's called Nightmare at 30,000 Feet. So, full spoilers for the episode, and I should specify Twilight Zone 2019, the new Twilight Zone, not the old Twilight Zone. I do have to work that into my intro, actually, because it's
just Twilight Zone 2019, Season 1.
I agree, but I forget. I say the title of the show, and I'm like, no, it's actually kind of important that I specify that.
It is, yeah.
So, this episode, at least going into it, I was like, oh, it's a remake of an old episode. And then I watched the episode and went, it's not really a remake of an old episode.
It's tangentially a remake.
No, it's worth mentioning, I've never actually seen any version of this story, because it was in the movie, it was in the original show with William Shatner. I've not seen any of the versions, but I do know there's something on the wing, and there was definitely nothing on the wing at any point in this episode.
It's that at the end, when it washes up, that little thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much what the thing looked like. I'm pretty sure from the original one.
Okay. So we have our man here. What's his face? Oh, I'm forgetting his name. Adam Scott. Adam Scott plays the main character. He's a journalist who does articles for magazines. He does proper hard hitting journalism. Very early on, it's mentioned that he's been through he's seen some shit, and he's been suffering because of it. He's flying somewhere for some interview or conference or whatever, and of course the whole episode takes place more or less on a plane. And the actual plot of the episode, though, much to my surprise, was that he finds a this was really making me feel weird, is that he gets, because the episode feels kind of futuristic at points. The airport he's in has these sections that feel really kind of...
Do you think?
No, it wasn't the whole thing. It was just one location. It was when he was boarding the plane. That the terminal just felt really... All the lights in the background just looked kind of futuristic to me. I don't know. Was that just me? Maybe it was just the architecture of this airport just looked quite swanky. I don't know.
Yeah, no, just like airport to me.
Fair enough. I don't know. It felt a little bit futuristic. Maybe it was that. Plus, he's got the AirPods in his ears, and I don't know.
Yeah, he's one of them pricks, isn't he?
Yeah.
Gets his comeuppance, doesn't he? Though trying to plug those things into this ancient MP3 player.
Well, that was the thing. This MP3 player actually isn't really that old when you think about it. It's not. It's like 10 years old, maybe.
No, but to be fair, even if this isn't futuristic,
it
still feels pretty bloody ancient, doesn't it?
I'm not going to lie, I got mad that he had to try and find earphones to plug into it, because I'm going to say it right now. Long live the 3.5 jack. I will not adhere to the death of it. He finds this MP3 player, and he has a podcast on it. And he starts listening to this podcast, which starts talking about the plane that he's on, the 1015.
Yeah, it's a true crime.
Yeah.
So.
And he's talking about how this plane went missing, and he kind of smirks like, that's weird, this is the plane I'm on. And then it starts getting really specific about the time that it's going to go down, and it starts describing people that look like they're on the same flight, and then eventually later in the episode even mentions him in this, as if this podcast comes from the future.
At first, I like that you can shrug it off, because if you know, flight codes are a set code, right? Depending on the airport to airport, the destination is that's this code. And then, we're usually with a couple of letters for the airline in front of it, and then coming back, the return journey is just like one up or one down numbers, depending on which one count is the home destination. So the fact that flight 1015 would always be flight 1015 from this airport to wherever he's traveling to.
Yeah.
So it could have been in the past.
Yeah. But the episode is him kind of getting more and more agitated and paranoid, looking for things that might cause the plane to go down, because he's now, becomes more and more convinced. And he's having a bit of a mental breakdown. Obviously, he's accused of that. He's like, no, I've had a mental breakdown. I know what it feels like. This is different. And, that's kind of thing. And obviously, the ending ultimately is that he inadvertently helps the plane get taken down by convincing this other person who... I'm not going to lie, this other guy who's basically referred to in the credits as the pilot, this mysterious figure that he kind of talks to and gets an autograph.
Little bastard.
And then he's drinking the whole episode, and then he eventually comes up and says, hey, I believe everything you're saying about the plane and what's going on. He's like, hey, you're a pilot, you can turn the plane around and go by. He's like, yeah, I can. Do we have the code to get into the cockpit? And it turns out to be the same code as the the flight for some reason.
That moment lost me, not gonna lie.
Well, here's the thing though. It didn't lose me in the moment because at this point in the episode, I was convinced this guy wasn't real.
I was also thinking that.
I was convinced he was just in his head because no one had ever addressed him, no one had ever looked at him. It was just him.
No, I agree. I think we were overcomplicating it.
But he was acting weird enough that it felt like he was maybe just in his head.
It was. But even in the moment when he goes, "Oh, that's the code," I was like, "Really?" Because the whole thing, 10:15. It's been this big coincidence all day for him, right? The flight was delayed to 10:15, and there was a few things at the start.
This is the date as well, 15th of October.
That's right. Yes. But I know you have to have some disbelief, right? And just go with some things.
Mm-hmm.
But no plane ever uses just the flight code as its secure password to get into the cockpit.
They might as well just go 1111.
Yeah. You might have got away with that 20 years ago. Not anymore. And I found that moment particularly hard to believe.
That's fair. Again, though, I don't think Twilight Zone's about believing all the details. Twilight
it's not,
Zone.
No, I know, but there's a line that I'm perfectly willing to go along with everything else. I mean, it doesn't mean I like all of it. I'm willing to go along with it. That one thing is the one that bugs the hell out of me in this episode.
This is the thing, though. The fact that this podcast that he's even hearing exists.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, but the fact that exists means everything. It's not really reality. Like, it's not quite right. So that doesn't bother me because it already feels that we're not in the real world. It already feels like the rules don't apply.
But the thing is, it's only him the rules don't seem to apply to. Everyone else is just going about the day, right? They're on a flight. Everything else is telling me, no, this is the real world. It's just this one thing that's
no. The ending doesn't.
The very ending doesn't.
The whole thing's an allegory. It's not.
Yeah, obviously.
Maybe taken as a real thing. I don't know. Like again, you complained about stuff in the last episode of this. I feel like you're going to be just going around in circles complaining about this every episode. There's always going to be something.
It's just this one thing. Last time it wasn't even a complaint. I was just mentioning. This time it bugged me.
I think you didn't like this episode because you're sounding quite.
No, I actually. I'm mixed. There are things I do like. I like the general tone.
I agree. It's got a good atmosphere. I like this episode more than the last one. I think there's a couple of things that don't quite add up for me. Because the ending of the episode is that so this pilot character, after getting the code, goes into the cockpit, and it turns out he's the one who was always going to crash the plane, right?
Yeah,
and
no shit.
Right, and then he wakes up on a beach. It's a very kind of lost / Oliver Queen, like on an island.
Yeah, episode 2's available. Let's listen to that.
Of the podcast, yes, and the MP3 player he finds again, and it says that a couple of months later, a freighter found every single passenger except one, and he was the only one who wasn't found. And then all of the passengers who are all alive now and show up on the beach all kill him. They all beat him to death. And the idea is that they've killed him and hid him, and he's the only one who didn't make it out of the crash because they're all mad at him because he's the one who caused the plane to crash. And they all know it because by the time it gets to that point in the episode, they've seen him freak out. They've seen him try to voice his complaints. He's been handcuffed or the zip tied because he's causing trouble.
This didn't land for me. This ending. At all, because I feel like it feels unfair. They actually think, okay, no, he's suffering a mental breakdown, right? That's what they look at as him. He's cracked, and it feels like, okay, he's villainized for being, as they see it, mentally ill, right? And unstable. And then he gets just, no, we'll just kill him. I don't know. Didn't land for me.
I like the ending that much. I think if you look at the message of the episode, I think the episode's message is kind of murky for me because I feel like last episode, its message was clear. It was clear from the
It
first
was.
scene what
Yeah.
what the message was, and it never changed, and that was kind of a problem. This episode, it did a better job, like for most of the episode, of keeping me like, okay, where's this going? What's it doing with this? And then the ending kind of gave me this weird murkiness to it, because it was like, on the one hand, I'm like, okay, he basically caused it to happen because he believed something was going to happen. Is that about self-fulfilling? Is that about paranoia? Is it about,
Yeah.
and the fact that he's a journalist? Is it the idea of his journalism made things worse? If this is what motivates him to investigate things, did he make things worse by prodding?
Which is kind of a shitty message, right?
Yeah, no, it
In the
is.
sense that he's a pretty good journalist. He's out there doing a job, reporting, doing things which generally we would consider as a good thing. And they're going,
Yes.
be careful what you dig up.
And then the other hand, though, going with what you said, is that okay, they think he's mentally ill, and then he inadvertently causes the thing because they don't take him seriously enough, and because of that, they then beat him to death because they blame him for causing this. Neither one really feels that satisfying
It
because
doesn't.
he never feels like he actually earns this death. Because it would be fine if it turned out that he was actually vicious in some way, or it turned out that he.
If it had turned out the pilot wasn't real and it was actually him.
Yeah, and it was actually like his other personality that was doing this. You wouldn't like, yeah, the ending would maybe make more sense.
And the thing
or
is,
work better.
even though we still felt for most of the episode that's what was happening, it never implied that at the end that was actually a possibility.
No.
It never definitively ruled it out, I suppose.
No, it doesn't rule it out. There's nothing about it that actually says it can't be that. Because
I'm trying to think if anyone addresses him when he's outside in the cockpit, out in the cabin, while the other guy.
I don't think so. No. I think it actually is him still, because if you think about it, he doesn't have to actually be a pilot to crash the plane.
No, he doesn't.
He literally just has to kind of, aim it down. And even then, just not attend to it, and it'll eventually crash. Also, as a
the only thing he would actively have to have done, and actively had to have known,
is get in the cockpit.
Nope, not even that. Once he's in the cockpit, because he's got the code, fine, right? I'm over that. He's in the cockpit. He's knocked out the two pilots. He has to know how to turn the oxygen off when those masks come down, so they all fall asleep.
Did they actually need to fall asleep though?
I mean, they don't need to, but it very clearly shows them unconscious.
Yeah, I guess. I guess there's no reason to think that anything we see in the episode outside of the other character we think is in his head is not genuine.
No, there's not. No, I'm with you.
So I guess, yes. To be fair, yes, technically you'd have to know how to bring down the oxygen mask. I don't know. Maybe we're jumping down the wrong tree, but it did feel like the whole episode, like, it was especially when he came, like, the pilot, not the actual pilot, the pilot, this character, sat down next to him to say he believed him. That was the moment I went, oh, he's just in his head. He's not real.
Yeah, but my problem is, as when we're getting towards the ending, if we're still going, well, we think he's in his head, it never actually goes any way to indicate that is the case. We're assuming that because we're noticing these things earlier in the episode, right? But it never actually gives us any clear indication at the end that might even be the case. Which is a different problem to the ones we were saying before, but still a problem in its own right, I would say.
I wouldn't mind that it wasn't clear. I actually wouldn't. Because if the ending wrapped up the story, if the ending worked without knowing that anyway, and it would be almost like an Easter egg where it's like, hey, what if that was also him the whole time? That would be fine. The problem is, though, is that the ending doesn't give you a satisfying.
No, if we're saying though they attack him because it's his fault, and we don't believe it's his fault based on if the pilot is real, it's a bit harsh, right? To put it mildly. If the pilot is him, then this ending works better. But if that's the case, I feel there needs to be something slightly more indicative that is the case, rather than us just going, yeah, that feels like that's right.
Well, no, even if the pilot's real, I buy that they all blame him still. I still buy that. My problem is that I don't feel the ending is earned. That is my main problem, is that when the ending happened, I didn't feel either shocked or like, oh, he's getting his comeuppance. I just felt, oh, this is how we're ending this.
Yeah.
This is how we're doing it.
No, I'm with you.
I don't think it has to be pigeonholed into anything you've suggested. I think there's a ton of different things that could have made this work.
No,
It
fair
just didn't do any of them.
Because it's frustrating because I was enjoying a lot of the episode. Like I said, I was enjoying the tone. I liked the frantic paranoia building for him and everyone else just still sitting there calmly. I like that, and I think the actual the true crime, the podcast, that clean narration worked really well with the calm narration. Worked really well over that. I'm not sure Adam Scott was the best choice, admittedly.
I think he's fine. I
think no. I think he's fine.
If
I don't think it played to his strengths.
Here's the thing. I think maybe my other big problem is that I feel like I was hoping the ending of the episode would be to do with how he has this podcast. Like, what sort of weird time loopy thing is happening here that's giving him this?
Yeah,
but it's never even a concern. It's never even like
it just has it. It's fine. Yeah.
To me, that's almost the most interesting part of the episode is that this thing exists and that he has this. Unless it's all in his head, in which case that's fine. It doesn't need to be explained.
Yeah.
But the ending still doesn't work for me because I don't feel like it earns the idea that they'll beat the shit out of him. And okay, but let's say the episode means it to be a sad ending. Maybe let's play devil's advocate.
Okay,
and say,
supposed to say society is victimizing.
Is it at fault? Yes, it's saying they're in the wrong for doing this.
Okay, I can see that as a solid message. Does this episode pull that off?
I don't think so. This is the thing. In that final scene on the beach when they're all beating him to death, I didn't know who I cared about. Because here's the thing. They all come at him like they're just determined to kill him no matter what. They all have this look in their face, which leads me to think... They
come at him like a pack of zombies.
Which almost leads me to think that is the point. The point is that they're in the wrong for doing this. That they didn't take care of him.
Yes. But there's no... It doesn't give me any sense that they're in the wrong, right? It just presents it as it is. It's a bit... It's too neutral.
I don't know.
It's frustrating, isn't it? Because I think for most of the episode it is better than the last one. But I think the ending really undermines a lot of it.
The ending's frustrating. I don't really have anything else to add. I feel like everything you're saying to me, I almost don't like either.
No, that's fair.
Like, almost everything you're suggesting or the way you're interpreting it, I'm like, I don't like any of this. Which I think is an inherent problem with the ending itself.
Yeah.
But I don't think the episode gets it right either. It left me feeling kind of just like, okay.
It's a bit empty. Like, okay, it's done now.
I don't know. I never felt like it really paid off in anything it did before then. Whether it was going to pay off that everything was in his head, or if it was going to pay off that some weird, like, actual timey-wimey things happening, or if it was going to pay off that, I don't know. I didn't feel satisfied.
It never paid off on any of the elements, does it? Because we were talking about, okay, maybe the split personality thing, the idea of him being mentally ill, they say the time loop potential thing.
I mean, the mentally ill side of it's definitely the one that's maybe the most presented because it goes out of its way at the start to tell you that he's going through some shit, that he's stressed.
No, it's the most presented, but I don't think it delivers on it at the end. At the end of it.
No, the ending doesn't work because it's not even like it plays it like we should feel sympathetic for him either. That's the other thing. It makes the other people look kind of like monotonous and zombie-like, as you said, but it doesn't play it in any way where we should feel sympathetic towards him. It it goes to Jordan Peele, doing his little outro, and I'm like, he says something about I don't know, I can't remember what he said. He said something about be careful. Like, whatever. I can't remember what the dialogue was.
Yeah, I think this is a very, very, very different problem to anything we had in the last episode. Because last episode was maybe it's based from it was too safe and it was too long, right? In the sense that we knew exactly what it was from the first scene and it did exactly what we expected the whole time. and it never really had any sort of twist to it. Whereas this one,
Well, this didn't have a twist either. Not really.
I think the twist is the twist is supposed to be that he caused it to happen. That's played in
Okay, I
the episode
guess.
as a twist,
I
as oh shit, it hasn't happened in the
no.
past. He's the one.
If anything, the twist is no. Everyone actually survived, but him. And the only reason why he didn't survive is because everyone else killed him.
That's fair. Yeah, I could. I feel the way it portrayed the moment of him realizing that it was happening because of him was played as a twist in the episode. But I mean, it's not that satisfying as a twist either.
But to go back further though, like one of the other things, probably the first time where I felt like something was kind of weird is when the guy gets, he's like, okay, I know the code, and then the pilot gets up and he's making his way up to the cockpit. I said to myself, wait, is he basically just going to hijack this plane? Is that what's about to happen? Because this is us going into kind of silly territory where, and not silly in a bad way. I don't mean silly in the sense that, like I'm not into what it's doing anymore. I mean silly in the sense that, okay, now drastic action is being taken that isn't just someone getting kind of nervous on a plane. It's now someone is taking this big extreme action where there's consequences. There's no coming back from this. This is changing the tone of everything that's happening in the episode. And sure enough, he gets in there and he punches out pilots and he takes over and takes control. And as soon as he was going towards the door, I was like, he's probably the one that crashed the plane. Because earlier on we find out the pilot said, good night, New York. I was like, he's going to say that. He's the one who's going to crash the plane. And I'm like, okay, fine. I don't know.
No, I'm with you. It's really quite frustrating, isn't it?
I liked this one more than the first one because I had that Twilight Zone feeling that for the majority of this episode, well, as he was freaking out and he was trying to like investigate other passengers because he heard about the Russian mafia or whatever, and he heard about
I like all that stuff. That stuff was good.
And he's like sneaking around, and I was getting really tense because I was like, they're going to, because they're asleep, and they're going to catch him looking at their stuff, and it's going to create a scene, and there's that sort of anxiety, and all that stuff was pretty good. And then I liked the start. I liked the build up of going on the plane, and just the general feeling of it. I actually really like. I just don't think the last 5 minutes is satisfying. I can't think of any explanation that makes it satisfying. It doesn't click together for me.
I'm 100% with you. The only thing I disagree on is I think I like this less than the last episode because of the ending. Like,
sure,
80% of this I like watching more than I do the last episode. But whereas I came out of the last episode going, it was all right, good stuff, too long. This one, I come out of it actively frustrated and annoyed, and that's a worse feeling for me. So overall, as a whole, I say I like this less.
Third time's the charm.
Yeah, I really hope so.
Third time's the charm. Maybe the next one will knock it out of the park. I do hope so myself because,
frustrating start to the show. Maybe they knew that these were the weaker ones. That's why they put them out on April Fools. It's like, fooled you. Here's some shit ones.
I wonder if anything. This kind of proves how different they can be, though, because the problems in the first one and the second one are not even close to the same.
Yeah, because this one's only around 35 minutes compared to the last one's 55, and that definitely works in his favor. It's a lot tighter. I never felt like it was going on too long. I didn't feel like it was too short either.
No, I didn't either. No, the length
it was a good length, script-wise, in terms of the pacing. It was good.
Yeah. Marky's second episode, I really did not like the last 5 minutes of this, but I pretty much liked it up until then. I wish they did more with one or the elements. Whatever one they wanted to focus on would have been fine.
Any of them, though. They kind of just did this hodgepodge of stuff.
Because the ending almost felt like a really crappy Tales from the Crypt episode. Except Tales from the Crypt at least usually made sure you hated the character first, so that you were rooting for their death.
And that's the thing. I definitely don't hate this guy, but I don't feel bad for him either. I feel kind of nothing at the end of this.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if there's an allegory here, it's in a more greater sense about. I mean, take out the journalism side of it, just the bad things happening because you're constantly worried that bad things are going to happen. The idea that you don't worry about something
Yeah. It's essentially you should have a positive outlook.
I mean, that's really simplifying it. I wasn't trying to go that simple.
I mean, that's essentially what it boils down to.
No, it's more specific than that because this is like those bad things will happen because you're constantly worrying about bad things happening.
Yeah,
If you convince,
therefore.
no, if you're going to, no, there's a specific bit to this that you're overlooking by just saying have a positive outlook.
I'm not overlooking it. I'm just jumping past it to the conclusion.
That's not the conclusion. No, shut up. That's episode 2 of the Twilight Zone. Hopefully episode 3 is better. They've both been kind of murky
Yeah.
in different ways though. Hopefully the third one nails it. You can let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the show and the channel and everything we do here, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. We can support us for as little as $1 per month, and you can get some stuff early, get some exclusive stuff. We are also reviewing classic episodes of the original Twilight Zone every week, so check out those too. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys, in the Twilight Zone.